Hi, welcome to Lesson 24, Session 1. Today we're going to be continuing our work with division and unit fractions, but we'll be using word problems and trying to make sense of the word problems and practicing everything that we've learned so far about dividing with unit fractions. We're going to be in our Ready Classroom Math Workbook on pages 471 through pages 474. So go ahead and take out your Ready Classroom Math Workbook and turn to page 471. All right, so previously, you learned about what it means to divide with unit fractions. Use what you know to try and solve the problem below. Micah is running a 6-mile race. There are water stops every 1/2 of a mile and at the 6-mile finish line. How many water stops are there in all? Use a visual model to show your solution. So first of all, what is this problem talking about? It's talking about a race with some water stops. That means that they're running down the road and that every 1/2 of a mile they have some water to help them get rehydrated since they're running 6 miles. We want to know how many water stops there are in all. And the important information is that we're running a race that is 6 miles long, and every 1/2 of a mile is where we have a water stop. So if this were me, I'm going to go ahead and draw this visual model to show what it is that I'm trying to solve. So what I'll do first is I'm going to draw the beginning of the race, and that is going to be, this is going to be the start. And then I'm going to draw all the way over here to the finish. So I have the start and the finish. The start is at 0 miles and the finish is at 6 miles. Now I'm going to say that halfway is 3 miles. And then I've got mile 1, mile 2, mile 4, and mile 5. So now I can see that I've now separated my 6 miles. So I have, and what is the equation that we're trying to solve? Well, we have 6 miles and we're dividing them into 1/2 of a mile sections. So we're doing the equation. What is 6 divided by 1/2? So if we take this 6 and we divide this 6 into halves, that means that we need to go and break each of these whole numbers in half. Because we know that we have a water station at every 1/2 mile. So I'm going to put a star at every water station. So we have a star here, a star here, a star here, a star here, and so on, all the way down the line, because we know that we have water stations at every 1/2 mile and at the 6 mile finish line. So don't forget to put a star at the 6 mile finish line. Then we're going to go through and count how many stars, or how many, these would be tick marks. How many stars or how many tick marks do we have? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So we have 12 water stops. So what is 6 divided by 1/2? It is 12. Because we're taking the 6 whole and we're dividing each whole in half. All right, let's go to the next page. Now, looking back, it says, how many water stops are there in all? Explain how you can use a number line to support your answer. So we knew there were 12. We drew a number line that showed 6 miles. Then we drew tick marks, or in our case, we drew those stars every 1/2 mile to show a water station. Then we counted how many we had in all. Now, number 2 says this. Look ahead. On the previous page, you used a visual model to solve a word problem involving dividing a whole number by a unit fraction. You can also use equations to represent and solve these types of problems. Consider this word problem. Micah now runs a 5-mile race. There are water stops every 1/3 of a mile and at the 5-mile finish line in this new race. How many water stops are there in all? Complete the division equation below. Well, how many miles is he running altogether? That's right, there's 5. So we know that we're going to put the 5 first because that's how many miles there are in the race. Now, at what fraction of a mile is it that we have the water stop? That's right, it's every 1/3 of a mile. So 5 divided by 1/3 equals the number of water stops. Now, we don't have to do a division equation. We can also do a multiplication sentence if that makes more sense to us. To do that, we would do this. We would say, complete the multiplication equation below. How many miles are there in the race? Well, we know there's 5 miles in the race. Now, we want to multiply that by how many water stops are there in each mile. So if we have a water stop every 1/3 of a mile, how many 1/3s are in 1 mile? That's right, 3. 3/3 equals 1 mile. So we would multiply 5 times 3 because there are 3 1/3s in 1 mile. So now, either way we look at it, we're going to get to the same solution. If we have 5 miles and we divide each of those miles into 1/3 sections, we're going to end up with the same amount of water stops as if we say we have 5 miles times 3 water stops in each mile, which means we know there are 15 water stops in each mile. Now, when we reflect back on that, we're going to see here, it says, explain what it means to divide 5 by 1/3 or 5 divided by 1/3. It means finding out how many thirds are in 5 wholes. So if we had 5 of something, we can also do it like this. We have 5. And if it's divided by 1/3, we want to know how many thirds are in 5 wholes. Let's go ahead and go to the next page, 473. And we're going to do this graphic organizer all about fraction models. What is a fraction model? It's a visual model that represents a fraction. What do I know about it? I can use a rectangle, a circle, or a number line to represent a fraction. And here are a few examples of fraction models. Here I drew a rectangle. I broke the rectangle into 5 equal parts because my denominator is 5, and then I shaded in 4 of those 5 parts because my numerator is 4. This fraction bar or this rectangle shows 4/5. This number line shows 2/3. I have my number line labeled from 0 to 2. But we're only talking about really 2/3 of 1 whole. So I also labeled 1 whole. And then this 1 whole is broken into 3 equal parts, and then I shaded in 2 of those equal parts. And in this third example, I used circles, and I drew 2 wholes and 2/3, or 2 and 2/3. All 3 have been broken into thirds. However, these 2 are each whole. That's why they are a whole number. So I have 1 whole plus 1 whole, or 2 wholes. And then this final circle is only has 2/3 shaded in, so that this picture here represents 2 and 2/3. You're going to go ahead and pause the video, get all that information written down. And then, as always, if you have any questions, you can always email your teacher. You're going to go ahead and finish numbers 2, 3, and 4 on the green pages. And then I will see you tomorrow to continue our work with word problems with word problems with dividing unit fractions.